U equals U means undetectable equals untransmittable. When a person who is living with HIV is undetectable for 6 months or longer and adherent to their regimen, they cannot transmit the virus to their sexual partners.
Virus suppression means health. It's an epitome of health. It's the picture of health. It's the picture of strength. So I have been undetectable for going on 15 years.
The first thoughts that went through my mind when I received my HIV diagnosis was my son, who was 4 at the time. I thought about him not having his mom in his life the way I didn't have my mom in my life. My mother passed away from kidney failure when I was 12, and I thought I will only have 10 years to live. And I thought by the time he would be 12, I wouldn't be in his life. And I felt as if I let him down by allowing myself to contract this virus. And I was very upset with myself.
All that he could tell me was that the test came back positive. And it was basically, I wish you well. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not an HIV specialist. This is not my field, right? So for the next 3 months, all I could do was just cry because I didn't know where to go. I researched HIV, Arkansas, AIDS, Arkansas, HIV, Little Rock, as much as I could, and I came up clueless, empty. So the whole process from diagnosis to taking my first treatment, my first cocktail was 3 months. It was 3 months for me. I was really serious. I wanted to live.
To start it back in 1995, it was the beginning of October. My son was about 13 months old. I was working at Little Caesars Pizza, and I ended up going into the hospital. And the doctors, they were trying to figure out what was going on. They said, well, we can't figure out what's going on. Your diabetes seems to be doing okay, and your blood work looks good. But you have, tattoos, or you have a nose piercing. Do you mind us taking an HIV test? And I said, well, no, go ahead and do what you have to do. And so they did the test. And so it was probably back then in 95, it took about 2 to 3 days. And so it was like 20 doctors. They walked in my room, and I immediately dropped my head and I said, oh no, what could be wrong? And when they came in, they apologized. And I'm like, okay, what are you apologizing for? We're sorry, but your test came back positive for HIV. And that day, October the 17th, changed my life forever.
Once I went to the lab and took more tests, that's when things got really emotional, and I was no longer able to have a bold persona. I'm just watching her gather the things and, put the tourniquet on, about to insert the needle. And I asked her, aren't you going to put any gloves? And she was like, no. And she told me that I'm not going to get her sick, and she knows how to do her job. And I had an emotional rush of unconditional love and care that she was showing me at that moment, her knowing that this is something I have to deal with for the rest of my life. And she really, extended herself to just show me that I'm not someone to be afraid of. And it really impacted my life even to this day.
I don't think most women have this information. I think this information should be available everywhere. I think it should be available in the magazines, in the doctor's offices, in the train stations, in the bus stations, wherever it can post it up. It needs to be available on the billboards, on TV commercials, on computer screens.
I was never told by my doctors that if I was on medications, I would not be a risk of transmitting HIV. Now that I know that I cannot transmit HIV because I have a suppressed viral load and I'm undetectable, I do feel betrayed by my medical providers of not giving me that information.
And I would go to my doctors, and the doctors a lot of the times, but they are very ignorant to the fact that, okay, I'm undetectable. So it's almost zero that I can transmit this virus. And they're still saying, well, you still need to use protection, or you still need to do this, you still need to do this. And a lot of the doctors still don't understand. And they're like, okay, so what does that mean? Even in the hospitals, when I go to different doctors, they're always like, what does that mean? What is your viral load, or what is your CD4 count?
When I first heard U equals U, it was confirmation for something that I knew internally. Right? It wasn't something that I heard before. In fact, the first time that I heard about U equals U was last year in 2016. No one can tell me that I'm a danger to anyone. Like I feel so much better. I really do. It means that they are not a weapon. Sex is not a weapon. Sex is healthy. Sex can be healthy, sex can be enjoyable, sex can be pleasurable, even after an HIV diagnosis, right? In fact, have plenty of sex, as much sex as you can. It keeps me youthful.
U equals U give persons living with HIV a chance to live and to be free and to be happy and to have a life again. The first time I heard U equals U, I became hopeful. And it gave me the strength to persevere and to keep on keeping on no matter what. No matter what this doctor says, no matter what they do to me, no matter what people say, U equals U. And that means everything in the world to me, being a woman living with HIV. It means for my sex life that I could have more sex. I could have more sex without feeling guilty, with my partner, with my mate. And, I can feel free. It brings about freedom, and inner peace from the inside out. I can smile again, and I can be happy within myself. And at the same time, not having to worry about, am I going to transmit HIV to my mate?
I haven't let my diagnosis stand in the way of me achieving family and friends support, romantic relationships, a successful career, home ownership, and meaningful involvement in advocacy.
This status is not going to define you. You're going to run into stigma, fear, ignorance. You're going to feel shame. You may even want to isolate yourself. It's perfectly understandable. I did. A lot of us do. But just don't stay there. Don't stay there. You don't have to go there alone. You will have people like me, people who are genuinely concerned about your health, your well-being, your mental health as well, who will be there with you every step of the way. We are definitely stronger together.
Undetectable equals untransmittable.